I feel like this is more serious than it should be. Alright, what is up guys? I really am excited about this video. I'm excited to talk to you guys about my thoughts. I'm not sure what this video is going to do. I'm not sure if it's going to reach the masses. I'm not sure if it's going to reach one person, but I just hope that whoever hears it is impacted to the best of their abilities. And I hope that they hear my heart and some of the issues that I think are wrong with how we view diet and food as it relates to someone having an eating disorder. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jonathan Shane. I am the CEO and owner of KetoRoad LLC. I have been a ketogenic coach for almost 3 years now, and I have been a nutritional therapist practitioner for almost 5 months. It's been going great. I've learned a lot in my experiences as a coach and as a therapist, and I just love food, and I love helping people understand food, and I love people, and I love helping people understand people. And so I'm glad you're here. Hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and all that fun jazz. So let's get right into the thicket of the video. Why is keto okay for somebody with an eating disorder? So background on me, I've had bulimia for 10 years. I've been in active recovery for 2. Basically what that means is I just haven't relapsed. I haven't shoved my finger down my throat. I can be a little bit graphic, so sorry. I'm really open about it. So I haven't shoved my finger down my throat. I haven't found myself purging in any way, right? I have a healthy relationship with food. I have a trust with my body. And part of this story is because I could not have done that if I wouldn't have found the ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet did so much for me in terms of allowing me to find food freedom. And I know that a lot of people sit there and they go, wait, and they scratch their head and they go, hold on. I've always heard that eating disorders, it's better to not have an idea of restriction, to not restrict food groups or not to restrict this or restrict that. And it's very true. Someone that has an eating disorder should never restrict. There should never be a sense of boundaries where you're not allowed to have something. Humans in their core are innately rebellious, and so if they find themselves with boundaries that they did not place there, but that some institute or something outside of them did, they like to push it, and they like to see how far they can get. And as it pertains to food, if you have an eating disorder, it's very easy to push those boundaries, and once you break through, well, now you've gone renegade. Now you're a rebel. And so instead of just like slipping up off the edge of the wall and then climbing back up, you say, well, screw it. I've already messed up. I might as well go all in. And so that's what we often find. And so, yes, I totally agree. Like, somebody should not restrict themselves. However, I feel like this is more of a subject or conversation of perspective and not truth. And what I mean by that is that the idea of restriction is a perspective. It's a sense of perspective in terms of, are you in control or is an institution? Are you in control or an ideal, right? Like, what's really controlling your life? And when I think about things like keto, paleo, and these kind of diets, whereas somebody that wants to justify eating crappy foods, they tend to say that those diets are restrictive. But are they? Are they restrictive, or is it the perspective that you have? Is it because you don't want to only eat those foods and the institute that designed those diets is telling you to only eat those foods? I think it is. I think restriction is a form of perspective, right? I think that you have restriction on one side and on the other you have empowerment. I think empowerment can be a powerful tool, especially for somebody with an eating disorder. Okay, so why is that? Because now it's not, oh, I'm not allowed to have these foods. Now it's, I'm choosing to not have these foods because they trigger my urges. I don't need to learn to be okay with these foods. I need to understand that I can't have them, and I need to be okay with that, right? I need to choose that I do not want them, right? I could eat a cupcake right now if I wanted to. Any point. No one's telling me not to. I own my own company. I make my own money. I could literally do whatever I want. If I want to go eat a cupcake, I could go eat a cupcake. I choose not to have the cupcake. I choose not to get off my diet. I choose not to have carb-laden meals. I choose not to eat over 80 grams of carbs a day. I choose not to eat white potato and rice and grains and pasta and all that stuff that I just tend not to eat, right? And if you choose to eat those foods, fantastic. Be empowered to do so. But do not live life, especially if you struggle with an eating disorder, in this lens of I'm restricting. No. You are empowering yourself to eat the foods that you don't want and eating the foods that you do want. Think about it like this, for example, right? So we see someone that eats a normal standard American diet and they don't like donuts. No one goes, "You're being so restrictive. You can't eat donuts?" No, they're just choosing not to eat donuts. So why is it any different when you decide to eat food groups that make you feel more stable? Food groups that make you feel like you're in control, that give you constant blood sugar regulation that's healthy. Why is that so restrictive? Why are you restricting? You're not restricting. You're empowered to make the decision, just like somebody that just simply doesn't want a donut. But we tend to get hypocritical. Why? Because at the root of it all, people need justifications for the way they eat. And if somebody with an eating disorder decides, or someone with diabetes, or whatever for that matter, decides to eat something that doesn't justify what they're eating, then they need to make you feel like you're being restrictive. Or they need to come up with a justification to why you're acting the way you're acting and they're acting the way they're acting. All right, so now that we've got the mental aspect of this out of the way, and again, it can be semantical. If you have comments, put them in the comment section below. Now let's talk about the physiological side of things. Why is a ketogenic diet superior over others, in my opinion, right? Now, granted, you can do paleo, whatever, but hear me out. The ketogenic diet is superior because of the way it helps regulate blood sugar and the way it helps regulate hormones. When you eat a whole food, not a crappy food, not dirty keto, what people do to try and lose weight, I'm talking about a whole food ketogenic diet. When you eat one that has whole food sources in it and is nutrient dense as possible, you're putting your body physiologically, that means foundationally, biologically, in the best position to function optimally, right? So healthy fats, low carbohydrates, no high simple carbohydrates that are going to spike blood sugar. All those things play a part. Let's start with blood sugar regulation. Why does that even matter if you have an eating disorder? Because our body can regulate hunger based off of our blood sugar. And so if you binge and eat a bunch of food and your blood sugar spikes and then you don't and it goes down, well, now you're going to struggle with some hunger pains. You're going to crave things and it can lead to another binge and another spike and dip, spike and crash, spike and crash. And so you have this constant thing that urges you to eat your binge sessions. And so your blood sugar catches on to that And so your body catches on to that rhythm, right? That pattern. And we see it all the time. And so having a diet that regulates blood sugar better can really, really help you establish a baseline of control to where now you're not dealing with the physiological side of an eating disorder, but you're dealing with more of the mental, psychological side of an eating disorder. If you don't have the foundations figured out, you cannot build a good house. It will sink in quicksand. And so understand that a good diet can help regulate blood sugar. Keto is great at regulating blood sugar. How do we know this? We see people coming off of type 2, type 3, Alzheimer's. We see recovery in that, or at least the slowing down of the progression of that disease. We also see the recovery of type 2 diabetics, pre-diabetes going away, diabetic medication being removed. We know that it can control insulin sensitivity and blood sugar regulation. So we know keto is good for that. Paleo is also not a bad diet for this. Again, I'm not doing this to be keto-centric. I want you to know that any whole food diet that is meat-based, that is low and almost has no simple carbs and is low in carbohydrates or lower than the standard American diet with enough good fats and proteins is going to help you get to this point. So I'm not saying keto is the win-all be-all, but I'm telling you, in my opinion, it is the superior one and definitely something that you should strive for. Aside from blood sugar dysregulation, we also need to look at its impact on hormones. Right, good blood sugar is going to help with the adrenals and the HIPAA axis. The HIPAA axis is something that involves the pituitary, the thyroid, the hypothalamus, all of that. It also is connected to your sex hormones, right? You have your HPG axis, which is your gonads. And so all of that has a relationship. And so when stress hormones are high, when those hormones aren't being properly utilized, right, then your sex hormones don't properly function like they should. And so we see dysregulation there. And with testosterone is libido low, you tend to lean to food for comfort. So having good sex hormone balance, the stress hormone balance is another good thing. And healthy, ample fats, good animal proteins, and not a lot of nasty processed carbs and vegetable oils are going to help establish that hormone balance and foundation. So it's another good reason why a whole foods ketogenic diet is great. The third reason is more from a biological perspective, but really the gut. So the gut is kind of like the brain of its own. And when you have a whole foods ketogenic diet, you're going to be supplying it with plenty of all the vitamins, minerals, and bacteria it needs to function well. You're talking like, spore-producing bacteria found in like sauerkraut, kimchi, dairy, fermented low-carb yogurts, things like that. And then you're going to be getting plenty of tryptophan from meats and animal proteins, and then plenty of your fats and all that stuff. And so understand that like there's so many different ways that food impacts us physiologically to give us a strong foundation to build a house on as it pertains to eating disorders. And that's why I stuck with it for so long as I have. I've been keto for 3 years. I've done strict keto, I've done targeted keto, and I'm telling you the ketogenic diet as a baseline is the most powerful tool that you can use from a diet perspective, in my opinion. But again, it doesn't come down to restriction, empowerment. So watch this video, learn from this video, empower yourself to make a decision, and I will see you later.